Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Feminine Legacy Podcast. This is your host, Jackie Ma. Today, I want to talk to you about healing. For those of you who don't know, I am a healer by trade, mystic, spiritual teacher, and so I really like to look at the depth of what's going on in our psyche, our consciousness, and our physical bodies, and our human experience here. So today I want to talk about diagnoses and being unwell in the body. And in the West, it's very prevalent, right? We have the Western medical industrialized complex. So it's set up in such a way that does not look at the whole person. You've heard this before. And so it does not look at the spirit at all. It doesn't look at, it doesn't understand soul sickness. It doesn't understand how ailments are generated out of a lack of balance through our elemental spiritual nature. And that's how sickness actually takes root in the body. So in the psychological world, yes, there's an understanding that like something that was, you know, a trauma when you were a child can lead to something in the body not being well or unprocessed emotion. All those things are true to a degree. But at their core, the bottom line is psychology, the Western medical industrialized complex, somatic industry, all of these houses are man-made. And I just want to be clear that there's a God, there's energy behind all of it. And so you just have to get clear on who you ride with, right? And when you do that, your life starts to change and it broadens your horizons in ways that you cannot possibly understand until you're in it. So, like you, I have experienced my wellspring of pain and unconsciousness in many ways and gone through my own stuff. So, what I want to say to you first is you have to make a decision. Whether you are suffering from emotional trauma, whether you are depressed, whether you are physically experiencing illness, whether you have a disease, whatever it is, if you are truly going to heal yourself and you want to be well, you are going to have to get really, really clear that that is a decision that you're making. The problem I think that we're seeing so much in the Western world is there is an adherence to handing over our will to other beings, and we're not in our power in our healing journeys. And so this might seem like a little bit of a tough mama love, but I say it with such due respect for you as a soul and as a woman who really knows this is if you can take all the herbs in the world, you can eat all the healthy foods. Like when you start to find out the body's sick and you start to like transition your life into a new trajectory of like, I'm going to grow and heal. And, I'm going to start changing my habits and eating better food and changing my thought forms. And many of us get shaken by illness and we move into a path of great wholeness and healing. So, at some level, everything that's happening in our lives can be working for us if we have the perceptual bandwidth to perceive this reality. And this is really, really important. So, what are each one of us perceiving? So, there are people who go through incredible triumphs, right? People who might lose an arm. I realize in the mystical realm, I probably can't help you grow an arm back. But all of the programming and the reasons that the karmas have happened as they have in your lifetime, you can make adjustments and shifts in your life that you can have an incredibly vivacious life and feel really good in your body and move through whatever you're going through. This idea that people have to live in sickness because they have been given a diagnosis is a curse. It is a curse. It is a disrespect to your soul as a God being, and it does not take into account the full spectrum of the power of the divine that is living and breathing through you. So, I mean, as healers, we have to hold this miraculous standpoint because when we see healing, I mean, it's look at Jesus, for example, when he healed the blind, like that was real, y'all. He didn't sit down and psychoanalyze and talk to the blindness and find out why it was there. He just went in soul to soul and shifted the consciousness that that man was experiencing. His soul was like, I'm ready to do that. Jesus was like, boom, I got you. And so there was something very miraculous and powerful that happened to be able to change and reconstruct the elemental balance and bring into resolution wholeness and then freedom of sight. So what I want to see is there's so many divine miracles happening in the East, and we're not seeing these type of miracles here in the West. And I'm promising that I'm going to be one of those healers here on this planet in the West. And I will be supporting and serving and training other healers here in the West. So I just want to digress and say that. But what makes somebody ready to be able to be healed is the willingness, the desire, right? So you have to be able to be in a state of consciousness where you even declare that that's what you want. I mean, really listen to that. Oftentimes, like there's a diagnosis, and then people walk around and they're like, oh, my autoimmune disease. Because I have this autoimmune disease. I have cancer, cancel. I have this, I have that, cancel. All of these things. But you hear what I'm saying? It becomes ingrained in the psyche. And it's like literally somebody inside of you is choosing and opting in to believe one, the diagnosis. And please be clear, I'm not at all suggesting that you bypass the diagnoses. If you went into the Western medical world and they gave you a diagnosis and you have a diagnosis, all right, that's cool. Know that this is an energy that's happening through you. Notice that I say it's happening through you and not happening to you. We really got to get on board with this, y'all. It is happening through you. It is not your autoimmune disease. You don't own that bitch like a purse. You have to really be aware that, like, yes, this volatility, this thing is happening inside of me. I don't understand it. A label was given to something that they don't understand. It's like, oh, you have some of these symptoms, so suddenly you have this thing. And it makes people feel like they have some kind of resolve, that something was once wrong with them and now they have a name for something. But that can be helpful as long as you're going to take it to the next level and be like, okay, not only am I going to start eating healthy, learn and grow and change my behaviors, my attitudes, my beliefs, and like get right and get into the alignment, but I'm actually going to make a decision, like at every level right now. Even if you've experienced tons of sexual trauma, I see a lot of women who've had a lot of womb trauma and heartbreak. And, there's all of it is like, how do we have compassion for everything that's happening inside the experience? Accept what's happening in the experience. And what decision are you making about the experience? Do you want to heal it? Do you want to continue to live like this? And have you made the decision to be like, you know what? I don't want to just be labeled traumatic, that I'm just a trauma baby my whole life. This is terrible. It feels like crap. And I also want to experience what it feels like to be, to move beyond this and experience my body, my mind in a very healthy way. I'm making a decision to heal myself. Just breathe that in. I'm making a decision to heal myself. I'm making a decision to be well. I will do everything it takes. God, take everything from me that is victimizing me, everything from me that is not true to my nature. Take everything from me. I am ready to accept responsibility for however this got here with lots of love and compassion, and to tolerate zero bullshit. All I want is that arrow and that bow, and that's where I'm going with a heart full open. Whatever needs to happen on this healing journey, I'm making a clear decision. And then once you're able to make that decision, then you can really draw on the herbs and the plant medicines and the food as medicine and doing your breath work and doing the somatic body things that are going to help you. I mean, and we might do that backwards, right? Everybody's got a different way of how they're going to come to their healing. But let's be clear, if you're serious and you're like, I actually don't want to die from cancer, then there is probably a way that you might be able to reverse it, right? If everything is here, if you're alive, there's still, the story's not over. So this is a really important conversation, and I want you to know, I have this image in my head of like a fish flopping around out of water, like when a fish flies out. Maybe it was Kill Bill, right, where the fish flies out of the tank and it's flopping around like it can't breathe. Like that's a natural part of the healing journey too, like to go into the state of like, what is happening to me, fear, whatever it is that's getting pulled up inside of you, um, volatility, invulnerability, like all of these states. It's beautiful. It's part of the human experience, but it gets to a point where you just become a shell of living in that state of being. And if you don't get out of there, that's going to be your life. And you have to decide what you want your life to be. What have you come to experience? What do you want to do? So, this is an invitation to you to get out of the distortions. And I'm going to speak more and more to this because I have a lot of feelings and a lot of knowledge about what's going on in the psypop psychology field right now and the trauma world, which continues. It's gone dark, right? There's light there and there's a lot of dark. So you have to be really, really conscious and clear how we're moving through these spaces. These are not spiritual houses. These are man-made houses. So if you want to really heal, you got to go beyond all of these confines and go straight to the source. And we have to oftentimes not know how that's going to work. Right? It's like really, it is plugging into the great mystery and being like, God, I don't really know how, but I know that you and me together, we can do this thing. Let's do it. I'm choosing it. I want to experience, I want to bring healing through the body. I want to nurture, respect this body, and I want to heal whatever consciousness was not in sovereignty. I want to bring myself into the positioning in my brain, in my body, in my spirit, where I can even hold the healing to be able to transverse this reality and help my body to be supported and strengthened for me to experience myself in greater joy and pleasure and love. And none of it is easy, but if it's happening through you, then you're capable. And there are people here to help with that, right? There are many people that have been there for me when I was moving through some really, really deep and dark times. But essentially, I wish I knew earlier. Like, literally, if you are consistently living in a victim state, and again, I know it's a place we visit, it's not a place we live. I can't tell you how many woe is me, days there have been, sometimes years of it. But then there comes to a point where if you do not sit in your mother flippin' power and make a decision, every addict had to come to a point where they made a choice. Now, sometimes it was a very dramatic experience for them that they were like, whoa, oh hell no, we're changing this. But you have got to make a choice as well. So please, I invite you to leave the labels behind you. If you get a diagnosis, okay, hold it ever so lightly. And then you have to make a decision. Obviously, again, when you're calm, right? Not when you are moving through like agony and you're in pain. I don't expect you to be able to summon the will, the divine will, the consciousness when you're already like completely dilapidated and out. But in those moments when you have some relief and you're sitting in the sun and you're able to contemplate, okay, this is happening. Okay, I have to make some changes. This is a wake up call for me. What needs shifting? What do I need to do? I'm making a decision now. Everything starts with a decision. Everything. I'm just saving you time. And you might even have to coax it and start with it almost feels like you're forcing the decision at first. But then once you start to grow it and you call in God to help you to like really make that decision proper, and I mean God, Goddess, God, the universe, however you roll, it's the force in you that is connected to all. And I believe in you. I believe in me. And I believe that we are more than these stories and these ailments, and none of them define us. None of them define who we are. We get to decide in this journey. But don't ever believe that you have to like get out a violin and live with something, maybe for the rest of your life. This is just the way it is. This is the way I am. That's bullshit. That's curses. And anybody I work with, I'm quick to silence that. Like, we're not doing pity here. Like, we're not. I can hug you and love you up and nurture you. But let's be really clear. You are the one that has to make a decision because you're the one who's walking around like you are. And I'm the one who is making the decision. So when you go to a healer, it looks like somebody is really saying, like, I want to heal. Oftentimes, that's not true. Sometimes they want somebody to just walk with them through misery. Sometimes they want somebody, like they receive nourishment just from somebody being with them. That's true. But at the end of the day, I really only want to serve folks that actually want to purport themselves and sit up and get better. And so I love you. Let's do this thing. So, anyway, in your language where you have adopted belief systems and you have taken on the curses of an industry and a society that says that does not claim your godliness, right? That like, of course you can change anything. Your hair is falling out. Okay, you can make shifts. There are things you can do, but it's all going to come from the source of your consciousness. And if you are not in that decision, like 100% committed, then it's still like willy-nilly. So you got to get in that zone. You have to be in that impeccable space where it's like it's so powerful. It's like you just bring your little bit of power and the divine syncs up with you and it's like whoop, but it's about getting there. So you got to make the decision and the choice. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you hear anybody, I'm happy to correct folks. I'm like, oh, it's your autoimmune disease. It belongs to you. How about it's an it's been diagnosed as an autoimmune disease. Stop claiming shit that isn't yours. Don't claim anything. Oh, I have my arthritis. No, no, it's freaking inflammation, y'all. You can fix it, you can change it. You got to change your mind. You've become so open and susceptible to taking in the masses and this like total distortion about who you are with the right mindset, with the right heart, with the right divine will, with the Shakti power to go along with what it is that you've decided to do, you can move mountains. You can change your whole trajectory. Folks have miraculous healings. Come on, y'all. Let's do this. Let's do it. We are the ones we've been waiting for. Sending you big, big love for whatever it is that you might be moving through. And if you know somebody who's ill and needs to hear this video, or somebody who's moving through trauma and needs to hear this video, make a decision. You are not traumatized. Just because you had some terrible shit happen in your life doesn't mean that you are now like a paraplegic. And that's no disrespect to those that actually are paraplegics, but you know what I mean? Like, don't buy in. Don't buy in because it's your life that you're sacrificing. We are not here to live in fear. We are not here to live this way. We are here as divine beings. You got to remember who you are. Bye.